South Africa's electricity sector is changing. In this video, we will explore why and how the system is changing, how these changes impact the price we pay for electricity, and what we need to think about to make sure this change has a positive impact. But first, let's remind ourselves about the three parts and functions of an electricity supply system. Firstly, we start with generation. Power plants are built and operated to produce electricity. This electricity then needs to be transported. That's where transmission comes in. It allows electricity to move through high voltage power lines. To deliver this electricity to the consumer, we need a distribution system. It enables consumers like households and businesses to receive electricity on smaller power lines. Each of these electricity system parts cost money. And if these costs are not recovered by revenue, the system can collapse. And this is exactly the situation we are facing. In reality, our electricity system is in a crisis. Load shedding has cost the country billions. Many municipalities are struggling to maintain their networks and pay their Eskom bills. And Eskom debt is over 450 billion rands. But how did we get here? So, we have failed to invest sufficiently in new power capacity. Corruption and government mismanagement and economic stagnation are also part of the story. On top of that, there are other global system disruptors. One of them is the use of new technologies like solar and wind. Renewable energy is important for boosting electricity capacity, but disrupts how revenue is collected. You see, when you purchase a unit of electricity, you are paying for the electrons you receive, as well as the ability of the system to deliver the electricity. This includes the networks and backup power. For every unit you don't buy, you're not paying for the service costs, and because of this, the costs are not recovered. Another factor driving change is global pressure to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. South Africa's electricity comes mostly from coal, and coal produces a lot of emissions. Other countries will soon implement emissions taxes. This means any products that we make using our coal electricity will be taxed in countries that we export to. This will massively impact our economy because no one will want to buy our more expensive products. So now that we have seen that, South Africa is struggling to raise the capital needed to maintain and expand its electricity system, that cheaper electricity alternatives are already competing on the grid, and that international pressure is driving us away from traditional generation fuels. It is clear that our electricity system needs to change. To answer South Africa's energy security needs and respond to international pressure for cleaner energy, we need a system that enables private participation to build renewable energy. This system must allow all generators, both private and state-owned, to sell electricity on a fair and level playing field. This fair competition will create the lowest system cost on the long term, even though investment will mean costs will have to go up in the short term. To compensate for the use of private generation in households and businesses, we need a system where electricity generators and buyers pay the full and fair cost of using the system. This pricing structure calls for an unbundling of the unit price into energy costs and system costs. All of this is what the government hopes to do by shifting the country to an electricity market. But what is an electricity market? An electricity market is a system that encourages buyers and sellers to trade electricity. Some steps have already been taken to make this shift. On the policy side, draft electricity market rules have been published, regulating the behavior of buyers and sellers. On the utility side, the transmission part of Eskom, the big power lines part, is now a separate state-owned company, the National Transmission Company of South Africa. A while ago, Eskom Transmission only allowed Eskom generation power plants to sell onto the system. Now that it is a separate company, it will allow fair access to everyone who sells electricity onto the electricity market system. Over 100 countries have shifted to a market system. Every country is different, and so it needs its own system that works for its unique situation. Our proposed market system is based on lessons learned from others' experience, but it is designed considering South Africa's particular energy and financial landscape. But what about the risks associated with this change? A market can make electricity prices volatile, making them change from 1 hour to the next. To mitigate this, government has proposed ways to ensure that Eskom distribution and municipalities will be buffered from these changes, providing the customer with stable prices. There are also concerns whether a profit-driven market will provide affordable electricity. Electricity prices will rise in the coming years because of the investment needed, but a market can ensure that the electricity prices remain competitive. We need to ensure that the poor are not left worse off. We need to keep an effective subsidy system in place.
The Presidential Climate Commission is a multi-stakeholder body, and the work that we do within the Commission is really anchored around the Just Transition Framework, our cabinet-approved document that speaks to 3 principles of procedural justice, restorative, as well as redistributive justice. What that actually means is that we leave no one behind as we transition to this low-carbon economy. The concept of a just transition means different things to different stakeholders, and so within this process, to ensure that everyone's voices are incorporated within decision-making, the PCC has social partners. So our stakeholders or our social partner groups include civil society, they include business, they include organized labor, faith, the youth, and all parts of government. This is to ensure that as we really embark on this, journey, everyone's voices are incorporated within, the key decisions that are made.
This shift will take many years, and we will need to test, learn, and change as we move forward. Government, business, and civil society need to work together to ensure we move towards a system that works for all. Want to know more? Click on the links below and be part of the conversation about South Africa's electricity future.